Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that every decision you make today is yours. Not your boss's, not your bank's, not your bills. Yours. You don't check the time with anxiety. You don't dread Monday. You don't measure your life in pay cycles. Instead, you measure it in moments. That's the promise at the heart of Financial Freedom by Grant Sabatier. A promise that freedom is not a distant retirement dream at 65, but a realistic destination you can reach in your 20s, 30s, or 40s if you're willing to rethink everything you've been told about money. Grant Sabatier's story doesn't begin with privilege or inheritance. It begins with rock bottom. In 2010, he was 24 years old, unemployed, and nearly broke, with just a few dollars left in his bank account. He had no clear career path, no wealthy mentor, and no financial cushion. What he did have was urgency, and that urgency became his greatest asset. Within 5 years, he went from almost nothing to a net worth of over $1 million. Not by winning the lottery, not by launching a unicorn startup, but by mastering the fundamentals of earning, saving, investing, and thinking differently about time. The core idea of financial freedom is simple yet radical. Money is not about accumulation. It's about autonomy. Most people chase money for status, comfort, or security. But Sabatier reframes it. Money is freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your time. Freedom to walk away from what drains you. Freedom to design your life intentionally instead of accidentally. He challenges the traditional script. We're taught to go to school, get a job, save modestly, invest cautiously, and retire decades later, if we're lucky. But Sabatier asks a different question. What if you compressed that timeline? What if you saved and invested aggressively for 10 or 15 years, built enough passive income to cover your living expenses, and reclaimed the rest of your life? That's the essence of the financial independence movement, often abbreviated as FI. Financial independence is the point at which your investments generate enough income to pay for your lifestyle without requiring you to work. It's not necessarily about never working again. It's about not having to. One of the most powerful concepts in the book is the idea that your savings rate matters far more than your income level. Most people focus obsessively on how much they earn. Sabatier argues that what truly determines your path to freedom is the percentage of your income you keep and invest. If you save 10% of your income, you may need 40 or more years to reach financial independence. But if you save 50, 60, even 70%, you can reach it in a decade or two. At first, that sounds impossible. How can anyone save half of what they earn? Sabatier's answer is both practical and uncomfortable. You must increase your income and optimize your expenses simultaneously. Cutting lattes alone won't change your life, but combining smart spending with relentless income growth will. He emphasizes that we live in an unprecedented era of opportunity. The internet has democratized earning. Side hustles are no longer fringe ideas. Freelancing, consulting, digital products, online businesses. These are tools available to anyone with Wi-Fi and determination. Sabatier himself experimented constantly. He freelanced in marketing, built websites, created digital assets, and reinvested every extra dollar. But earning more is only half the equation. The other half is intentional living. Sabatier introduces the concept of lifestyle design. Instead of inflating your lifestyle with every raise, you consciously choose a life that brings you joy without unnecessary excess. This doesn't mean deprivation. It means clarity. What actually makes you happy? Is it luxury cars and oversized houses? Or is it flexibility, travel, and time with people you love? He urges readers to calculate their freedom number. This is the amount of money you need invested so that, using a conservative withdrawal rate, often around 4%, you can cover your annual expenses. If you need $40,000 a year to live comfortably, you might aim for a portfolio of around $1 million. That number transforms freedom from a vague dream into a tangible target. But the journey isn't just mathematical. It's psychological. Sabatier dives deep into the emotional relationship we have with money. Many of us inherit limiting beliefs. Money is scarce, investing is risky, wealth is for other people. He dismantles these narratives. Wealth is not reserved for the lucky few. It's built through consistent habits, disciplined investing, and long-term thinking. Investing, in his framework, is not about gambling on hot stocks. It's about buying ownership in the global economy through low-cost index funds, real estate, or businesses. He advocates for simplicity. Automate your investments. Reduce fees. Think in decades, not days. The market will fluctuate. It will scare you. But historically, it trends upward. Patience becomes your competitive advantage. Another key idea in financial freedom is the power of time arbitrage. Sabatier explains that not all hours are equal. If you earn $20 an hour at your job but can develop a skill that earns $100 an hour as a freelancer, your time becomes dramatically more valuable. The goal is to shift from trading time for money at a fixed rate to creating scalable income streams. He also addresses risk in a refreshing way. Most people think pursuing financial independence is risky. Sabatier argues the opposite. Relying solely on a single job for decades may be the biggest risk of all. Diversifying your income, building investments, and reducing dependency on any one source increases resilience. The book is practical, but it's also deeply human. Sabatier acknowledges burnout, doubt, and fear. Saving aggressively can feel isolating when friends are spending freely. Building side hustles after work can be exhausting. There are moments when the finish line feels distant. But he reframes sacrifice as temporary intensity for permanent freedom. One of the most compelling sections explores the idea that retirement is outdated. The traditional model assumes you'll defer joy until your body is older and your energy lower. Sabatier encourages mini retirements or flexible work once you reach partial independence. Maybe you work part-time. Maybe you switch to passion projects. Maybe you travel slowly. The point is choice. He's careful to say that financial freedom is not a one-size-fits-all formula. Your number will differ from someone else's. Your path will reflect your values. For some, it's about early retirement. For others, it's about creative freedom, entrepreneurship, or spending more time with family. The destination is personal. The principles are universal. Another powerful theme is urgency. Sabatier repeatedly reminds readers that life is finite. Time is the only non-renewable resource. Every year you delay investing is a year compound interest cannot work for you. Starting early, even with small amounts, creates exponential results. He illustrates how money invested in your 20s can grow dramatically over decades, turning modest contributions into substantial wealth. But he also offers hope to late starters. Even if you begin in your 30s or 40s, aggressive saving and smart investing can dramatically shorten your timeline. The key is commitment. Clarity fuels discipline. Throughout the book, Sabatier shares stories from others who achieved financial independence through diverse paths: engineers, teachers, entrepreneurs, couples with children. These stories reinforce that there is no single income threshold required. What matters most is intentionality. He introduces the idea of aligning your spending with your values. Conduct a joy audit. Look at your expenses and ask which ones genuinely enhance your life. Eliminate or reduce the rest. This process often reveals surprising truths. Sometimes we spend most on things that bring the least satisfaction. Another subtle but profound message in financial freedom is that wealth amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, money enables greater generosity. If you're creative, it unlocks time to create. Financial independence is not an escape from identity. It's an expansion of it. Sabatier also emphasizes community. The journey to financial independence can feel unconventional. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people, online or offline, provides motivation and accountability. Shared goals make sacrifice easier and success sweeter. Perhaps one of the most liberating ideas in the book is redefining what enough means. In a culture obsessed with more, choosing enough is rebellious. Once your investments cover your needs, you've won the game. You can still earn more, build more, give more, but you're no longer trapped in the cycle of endless accumulation. As the narrative unfolds, you begin to see that financial freedom is less about spreadsheets and more about sovereignty. It's about reclaiming authorship over your life. It's about recognizing that the conventional path is optional. Sabatier's own transformation underscores this truth. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He acted with urgency, experimented relentlessly, and reinvested consistently. The compounding effect of disciplined action created extraordinary results. But he never romanticizes the grind. He acknowledges that the early years require hustle. There are long nights. There are uncomfortable choices. There are social pressures. Yet he frames this period as a sprint, not a marathon. A decade of focused effort can buy decades of freedom. In the end, financial freedom leaves you with a simple but haunting question. If money were no longer a constraint, how would you live? That question exposes your deepest desires. It forces clarity, and clarity breeds courage. The book invites you to see money not as the goal, but as the bridge. A bridge from obligation to intention, from survival to design, from drifting to deciding. As you close the final pages, the numbers and strategies linger, but so does something more profound. A shift in perspective. You realize that freedom is not reserved for the extraordinary. It's built by ordinary people making extraordinary commitments over time. And maybe that's the most powerful takeaway of all. You don't need to be born wealthy. You don't need to predict the stock market. You don't need a perfect plan. You need awareness. You need discipline. You need the courage to question the script you were handed. Financial freedom is not about escaping work. It's about escaping dependence. It's about waking up and knowing that your time belongs to you. So imagine that morning again. The sunlight through the window, the quiet, the absence of urgency, the deep, steady breath of someone who knows they have options. That life is not a fantasy. It's a calculation. It's a commitment. It's a choice made repeatedly, day after day. Grant Sabatier's message is clear. The path is available. The tools are accessible. The timeline is flexible. But the decision is yours. Because in the end, wealth is not measured by the size of your portfolio. It's measured by the size of your freedom. And freedom, once tasted, is worth every disciplined step it takes to reach it.